Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. As you all begin to come in, if you can just take just a moment, share and tag and share. Good morning. Share this video with somebody, invite somebody over to be with us. We have an awesome message on this morning. I pray that it will be a blessing to each and every one of you. And I pray that it changed the way that you begin to walk out the rest of 2026, walking into your visions, walking into your ministries, walking into the things that God has spoken and declared over your lives. I pray that this word on today will change everything for you. And instead of making you quit, it will make you say, nah, I just might need to protect my vision. So that's our topic on today. Protect your vision. Invite. Share, tag, and tell somebody to get on over because there is truly a word from the Lord. As you're tagging, as you're sharing, I want to introduce myself to some of you that don't know who I am. I am Dr. Deidre Samuel McLeod. I am the pastor of Divine Destiny Ministries in the great city of Hartsville, South Carolina. I'm telling you, it is the place that you can be different in order to make a difference. And I am also the online facilitator of the Amazing Women Ministry, where we lead over 900 women, teaching them how to be able to restore their crowns. I'm believing that in this next year, in this year that we're walking in, as we move forward into the next seasons of our lives, that lives will be changed, lives will be restored. People will begin to see and witness the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. That people will know that they don't have to stay broken, they don't have to stay in pieces, but they can instead gather their pieces, find peace in God, so that they're able to walk in the things that God has spoken and declared over their lives. So as you continue to share, as you continue to tag, I'm going to go forth, and I pray that more and more people will join in, and that we would be able to impart something amazing into their lives. On this morning, I went into prayer around about 5:59 this morning, and I was just talking to God, and I got full because there are visions that the Lord has given me. There are things that I know that God has called me forth to walk in, and even though that I'm a pastor, even though that I'm a leader, even though that I'm a visionary, we must also have to understand that even though that we're strong, that sometimes even the strong also needs encouragement. That we needs encouragement. Oftentimes we look at it different. We like to reach out to the people that look like they're weak, and we like to pour into them. And I'm not saying that don't ever encourage them, but what I am saying is, just because you view somebody as being strong all the time does not mean that they don't need encouragement every now and then. So I was laying before the Father, because that's what I do when I need encouragement. I like to talk to my husband, and I like to talk to God and get encouragement. And as I was laying there, I just started singing this song. And the song that I started singing was talking about his name is worthy, that his name is worthy. And I just kept saying that over and over and over again. And I just kept saying that, Lord, your name is worthy, your name is worthy. And I just got so full just off of just saying that, to I wasn't even really just even saying a lot of words to God. I just kept saying, God, your name is worthy. God, you're worthy. God, you're worthy. You're worthy. And I just started crying. I started worshiping him and just telling him how much I love him because his name is worthy. And I started talking to God about, God, I know all the things that you've given me. I know all the things that you shared with me. God, I know all the things that you've spoken in my life for me to begin to do. But God, I can't lie that sometimes I go forth and do it, and because you it's a God-given assignment and not just a good one, I be thinking that it's going to be packed out. I be thinking that it's going to be flooded out. People going to be running to it. People going to be wanting it. People going to want to be able to partake off of what God has given me. And but I found the very opposite, that God has given me visions. God has given me things to be able to pursue. because like I said, I'm a visionary. I see things all the time. I don't ever walk in a room and just see the room just as it is. I walk in the room and I'm already thinking, oh, I can have a women's conference. I can have an empowerment. I can be able to do a prophetic teaching. I can be able to do this a prayer meeting, intercessory revival. I don't look at the room as just as the room is. I'm always seeing the room so much bigger, so much greater. But I said, God, here I am with all these visions, all these dreams, all these things that you have given me. And God, I'm looking to see how to be able to operate in it. But every time I begin to operate in it, I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the vision on paper. And I know that you said in Habakkuk 2 and 2 to write the vision and make it plain. And I'm doing all of that, God. I'm listening at you because God, I want you to unclog my ears so that I can be able to hear what it is that you're saying. Unclog my vision, God. Take the scales off of my eyes, God. Take the cataracts off of my eyes, Lord. God, allow me to be able to see it, God, how you called me to be able to see it. And God, I'm doing all of just that. And I can't lie that there are moments that God, I feel like I'm crumbling up under pressure because I see the vision. I see what you have spoken. But God, the people don't show up. So what? So what do I do? And then when I share the vision with people, that either they make me more discouraged or they don't participate or they give me all the reasons why it didn't work for them. They give me they give me a bunch of excuses. They minimize my gift, minimize my vision, or they make me doubt why I ever said anything to them in the very first place. And and when I said that to him, I just started back crying again, saying, Lord, you are worthy. You are worthy. And I just kept saying that over and over and over again. I just kept saying, God, you're so worthy. There's nobody. There's nobody like you. And I just went rocking and wrapped up in my blanket and just cried out because see, we have to understand that sometimes intercessory prayer, a prayer is not just about being full of words. Sometimes it's just about weeping in the presence of God and let God now speak to us. And so I was doing that. I was talking to God and in worship. And I just kept saying, worthy, worthy is your name. And then I went on, Jesus, you deserve the praise because worthy is your name. And I kept saying that over and over again. As a matter of fact, I said, then when I came out of prayer, I started playing the song. And after I laid in my closet for about 27 minutes and just crying and just singing that song and saying that to God, I laid in my bed and I started playing the song in my ear. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. And I just kept saying that over and over again. And I just started getting full all over again. I sent the song to my husband. And I said, baby, this is all this is all I got to give on this morning. And I just kept saying it over and over and over and over and over again. God took me back to the morning that I woke up where I had an encounter with him. I'm not talking about a dream. I'm not talking about a vision. I'm talking about an encounter with him where he actually allowed me to see my body laying in the bed beside my husband. But he took me with him for 90 minutes. And I remember saying to God, crying out to God, God, I tried. I tried. I tried. I tried. And I kept saying that to God. I tried to do everything that you told me. I tried, Lord. And God, I try to give it all that I have. And God, the more I keep trying, God, they didn't listen. They didn't believe me. They didn't support me. But God, I tried. And I kept saying it as if that I felt like that I failed God, that I felt like I failed God. And I started talking about visions and dreams that I had of more empowerments, of doing revivals, um, doing retreats and different things. And and I said to my administrator on yesterday, I said that even when I did the poll about people choosing to do every other year versus every year, I said that I didn't reply back to them because I'm trying to get them to be on board with the vision that God has given me. What it meant to me was that apparently that I'm trying to bring the vision down that God has given me to fit people that's not ready to pursue the vision or the dream that God has given me. And it does not mean that they still don't have a choice to be able to go every other year or go every year. But I don't have a choice to allow my vision to change that God has given me because they made a decision that they will go every other year. Because my obedience to God or your obedience to God have nothing to do with whether people decide to support you or whether they don't. That means that I have given my vision to people that either think too small or they not able to reach as far where God is taking me. And so therefore, I have to leave them where they are and pursue the dream, the vision that God has given me. And I'm talking to somebody, even though I'm sharing my testimony, that means that I'm now trying to reach people because they're reachable. Instead of reaching the people that God is really calling me to be able to reach, because the truth of the matter is the vision don't change. It just means that maybe God is changing who I present my vision to. And so, therefore, if they decide to stay with every other year, ain't got nothing to do with me. But my obedience to God, I got to answer to. And I can't say to God because they decided that, and it was only one person off. But if they decided that I'm going to support the vision every other year, still ain't got nothing to do with me because their response don't have nothing to do with my obedience. And so where we miss it at is that we got to protect our vision because we'll look at other people and decide whether we still going to go because they decided that I'm not going to follow you every year. I'm not tapping into it. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. You can remain every other year. But the thing of the matter is that my obedience to God is that I got to answer to Him. And I can't say that my vision has changed, God, or my obedience has changed simply because theirs did. So, so one of the greatest mistakes that we as believers have is that we assume that because God reveals something to us, He intends for everyone else to know it immediately or to follow it immediately. Has nothing to do with us. So just because God gave you a vision does not mean He assigned everyone to it because everyone is not called to it. And it was evident from the poll that some people said every other year, some people said every year. But what did God say? What did God say? So there's a difference between confirmation and validation. And the poll, the answers that I was looking for, and I'm talking about me, I wasn't looking for confirmation. I was looking for people to validate what God has already given me by saying that I'm on board with you, Pastor. You keep going every year. He already told me what to do. But I was looking to write a poll to get people to validate what my obedience to God off of the vision that God has given me, and instead of looking for confirmation. And there's a difference. And because they didn't give me the confirmation that I was looking for, or the validation that I was looking for, it spun me right back to God and saying, God, my obedience to you, I left it in the hands of people that did not see what you gave me, was not there when you spoke it. And I was looking for them to confirm it to me or validate what you have placed already in order. There's a difference. So every vision cannot be shared because God gives assignments personally before he reveals them publicly. And so right now, your vision might look small. It looks small right now because you're still looking for validation instead of confirmation that you will go. Most of the time when people receive confirmation, they'll run with it. But most of the time when people receive validation, when they're looking for validation, if people don't validate what they're looking for, they won't do it. They won't go. It must be not from God. That is what people say. It must be not from God. I've been talking about Nehemiah back and forth for a little while. But let me give you Nehemiah 2 and 12. Nehemiah understood the principle of having vision. He understood it. He said, I had not told anyone what God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. You know why? Because most of the time, when you share your vision with somebody, people would immediately start telling you why it won't work, why you shouldn't do it. When I told some people that have been in ministry longer than I have, that have been doing things longer than I have, and I looked at them to be more accomplished than me in the ministry, when I shared with them the vision that God has given me about starting my school, they told me immediately, didn't say, I'm proud of you, didn't say, I'm happy for you, what ways that I can help you, none of that. They said to me, it won't work. It won't work because I've already tried it and it didn't work for me. Well, we have to understand, people, men and women of God, when God has given you a vision, just because it didn't work for them does not mean that it won't work for you. It won't work for you. Nehemiah protected the vision before he announced the vision. Sometimes you got to keep your mouth closed until it comes to full fruition off of what God has spoken and declared over your life. Sometimes silence is not fear, it's protection. Sometimes silence is wisdom and protection. Because I know that sharing with you my vision, you might mess around, make me quit because I'm already nervous. I'm already scared or already have a level of fear about going forth in it. And if I allow you to minimize my vision, my dreams, the things that God has spoken over my life, I might mess around and stay hanging around buzzards and ravens. And God has called me to soar. And it's not that God has not given you a vision. But you steady hanging around with chickens. You steady hanging around with buzzards. You steady hanging around with vultures. And they have eaten up the vision that God is giving you. And you're trying to figure out why you have not flourished yet in 2026 when God has already spoken to you that you're going to shift. So not every relationship has clearance to access what God has deposited in your spirit. Let me say that again. Not every relationship has clearance to access what God has deposited in your spirit. Some people hang around long enough to see what you're doing, to try to destroy what you're doing, to plant doubt in what you're doing, to see how you're doing it so they can try to outbeat you doing it, or to make sure that you don't ever do it. Some folk. And then there are the folk that'll clap for you, encourage you, restore you when you get wounded, when you get frustrated, because they understand. They understand what it takes in order to give birth to vision, what God has given you. Wrong voices, people of God, will create wrong atmospheres. When you try to invite the wrong people along with you, they will create a horrible atmosphere. And you're trying to figure out what's going on. What's happening? This is not how I saw it, because you invited the wrong people, and they didn't come looking for deliverance. They didn't come looking for healing. They didn't come looking for restoration. They came to shift the atmosphere in the wrong direction to make sure that you didn't prosper, to make sure that it was a hindrance in the room. When Jesus healed people, when he was walking through, there were times that you saw that Jesus told them to shut the door. They shut the door because Jesus understood that you can invite the wrong person in, and what I came to do, they were hindering. They were blocking. Not that Jesus ain't powerful enough, but because the atmosphere is now off, that it made you doubt. I have shared dreams and visions with people that made me doubt what I know that God said to me. And it made me drag my feet. It made me procrastinate. It made me be intimidated. It made me start looking at people for validation, and all along, I already know what God said. Wrong voices will produce doubt. It will produce fear. It will produce comparisons. It will produce delay. It will produce discouragement. It will produce procrastination. It will produce fear. It will produce depression. All because you didn't move. You won't have wisdom. You will lose faith. You will lose accountability. You will lose your peace. You will lose the courage to even be able to do it. But before you shared it, you'll wake up and you'll be like, hey, I'm about this thing. I'm going. And then you mess around and talk to the wrong person. You can hear the not so excitement in their voice, even when you share to them about what you're about to do. They don't even be excited. Oh, well, that good. That that good. Oh, that should be nice. There's certain people I don't even call when I'm ready to share something with them, because I hear it in their voice. They don't give me what I need. They don't give me the atmosphere that I need to be able to produce more. They don't give me the atmosphere that I need to encourage me well, for me to keep going, pushing. So I try to keep certain people in my ear. They don't speed dial for me, because I already know that certain people that I share certain things with, they're not going to give me what I need. So when you continually expose your God-given vision to people who cannot discern spiritual things, you invite unnecessary warfare into your mind, into your space, and into your vision. And that's why you have not moved. Some people can only see what's right before them. They don't have vision. When we walked into the building of our church right now, that we had to do a full makeover. There was no floors, there was no walls, wires was hanging down out of the ceiling. There was a lot going on. But guess what we did? We didn't tell nobody. Me and my husband talked about it. We prayed about it. We kept riding by the building. And I said, and I kept saying, pointing at that building every time I roll by. I said that nobody will be able to buy that building because it belongs to us. He won't be able to sell that building because it belongs to us. And we didn't tell nobody, but we had a vision. We had a vision of how things was going to look, how things was going to change, how we was going to build this up, how we was going to turn this, how we was going, we already had envisioned what we were going to do. But we knew that if we said it to not all of our congregation, but some of our congregation, they'd have been like, now, Pastor them, they crazy. Because I definitely don't see what they see. There ain't no way that they about to turn this into the church and a salon spa on the other side. There is no way. There's no way. And even now, we have space in the back that I'm looking to turn it eventually to event space, that we can also be able to use also for our school. I walk back there sometimes, not all the way back. I open up the door and I peep in there and I say, because sometimes I need that to be a reminder to me to stick to the vision. You get it, Minister B. That it had to be a reminder to me to keep the faith. It had to be a reminder to me to keep going. It's tough right now, but the vision, it will come to pass. Though the vision tarry, wait on it, because it will surely come to pass. So that's my faith thing. Even if I don't talk to nobody else, I don't have to say nothing to nobody else. I just open up that door and I look. I say, okay, brush my shoulders off, get myself together, wipe my face, square up, and I'm back in the game. Because it reminds me of where I came from. And it lets me know that this is where you came from and you are able to accomplish this up front. What make you think that you still can't keep pushing, that you still can't keep going? You got this. We keep looking at our bank statements. God don't give you a vision based upon your bank account. He give it to you based upon his. He said that he own a cattle on 1,000 hills. The earth is his and the fullness thereof. He said that he gave you the power to be able to obtain wealth. And you keep looking at your bank account saying, I can't do the vision. There's no way that God called me to do this. Now you got to protect your vision. And sometimes you got to protect your vision even from you. Sometimes I hear my husband, I got to protect my vision from the enemy, because the enemy sometimes don't feel like fighting. I don't feel like sometimes going. Sometimes I want to wallow in my tears. Sometimes I want to wallow and be like, God, it's not working. But I keep going. It's not based upon my education. I remember somebody said to me when I started teaching classes, prophetic classes, they said to me, who qualified you? God? Who in the Bible did you read? Who in the Bible did you see that God used that had degrees? I'm not kicking against education, because I'm just letting you know. Who? Because your education does not qualify you. There's a lot of people that know homiletics, hermeneutics. They know that. They know how to exegesis a text. They know it. But at the end of the day, that don't qualify them. Some people go to seminary. Some people have to go to the cemetery in order to be able to get up with fire inside of them to say that I'm gonna pursue the vision that God has given me. They ain't died enough. I preached a message one time about the fact that there are times. Don't tell me about what somebody else have gone through. It sounds good when you start talking about what David did, what Goliath did to David. That's David's testimony. You Jeremiah, Abraham, Matthew, Mark, John, all of them. But sometimes people they need your testimony to say, look what the Lord has done, because they don't know them. I read about them. I read about them enough. But sometimes people want to know, Sister Wanda did it. I know her. I knew her a long time. And she did it. So even when go back to Moses, God asked Moses, what is that you have in your hand? Because Moses was so busy focusing on God using Aaron. God wasn't talking about Aaron. God was talking about Moses. Moses was like, but I stutter. I was like, sometimes I don't get all my words right. But does that cancel the vision that God has given me? No. I don't know about you, but I wasn't born perfect. I made mistakes. Before salvation, during salvation, I made mistakes. But guess what? The Bible says that all things work together for the good of them that are loved according to his purpose. I got purpose over my life. So it did, my mistakes didn't cancel out nothing that God still called me to do. We are imperfect people that serves a perfect God. I'm limited, but God is not. So if you keep looking at your life and the fact that you keep bringing up all your limitations, that's how come your vision keep being attacked. Because God sees your purpose. When Joseph shared his dreams, listen, too early, it created opposition before the fulfillment ever came. Sometimes the issue isn't the dream, it's the timing. I have to know that share my dreams and my visions with everybody. Sometimes it ain't time. It's just not time. Because they'll start telling me, you're going to do that now. I saw somebody just purchase a house, but I also saw and heard in my own ears of somebody saying it ain't time to buy a house now because the stock market or the interest rates are too high. But I saw they just closed on their house. In the bracket, the financial bracket that they were able to handle. But they wouldn't have got the house if they would allow somebody else to rob them of living their dream because they didn't see their vision. When God called me to start the ministry, and I'm about to go, I might do a two-part tomorrow. Let me know if y'all interested in two-part tomorrow. When God called me to start the ministry, I was afraid. I was afraid. I started saying, God, nobody's going to follow me. Nobody's going to listen to me. God, and I kept giving God, I don't have this. God, I don't have that. But when my girlfriend, not my girlfriend, when my first cousin's son got killed in Baltimore, And I went to, she wanted me to preach the funeral. That was my first funeral. I was calling my pastor, and I was like, hey, I need for you to tell me what to do. I've never done a funeral before. He was talking me through, telling me what to do, telling me how to do. He was giving me all that stuff. I was like, okay, okay, okay. And then when I got there, people were saying to me, um, they were asking me, where's your church? I was like, I got a women's ministry. They was like, no, where for real, where's your church? Now I have a women's ministry. Every few steps I was getting to, where's your church? You're here in Baltimore? No, I'm in South Carolina. They kept saying, where's your church? When I got back to the hotel, and I'm about to get off because I got another meeting, but I am going to do part 2 for you. When I got back to the hotel, we was seeing some other family members off. And I was standing outside, and we were just sitting there, and God was speaking to me. And God started giving me instructions. There was a little girl that I saw getting out of the car, going in and out of the hotel, in and out of the hotel, in and out of the hotel. And I kept watching her. And my mom, they were making jokes. And they was like, look at little Dee Dee. Don't she look like little Dee Dee when she was small? And they did not know that God was speaking to me at that time and saying to me about the same little girl, that I was preparing you for this ever since you was her age. And I was fighting on the inside of me, fear. God, I'm scared. I'm not qualified. I'm not good enough. Nobody's gonna follow me. Nobody's gonna listen to me. They're gonna bring up, they're gonna bring up this, they're gonna bring up that. And I kept saying that over and over again. God didn't listen to me. God kept telling me, this is what I called you to do. It was like a movie screen rolling before me. He was running the movie before me, telling me what I called you to do. I was preparing you since she was her age. I followed the little girl in the hotel just to see what she was doing. And they were in there, they were setting up church. They were in there. She was going back and forth. She was getting Bibles, she was getting hymn books. The little girl, back and forth, back and forth. Had a little frilly socks, that roll turned down with a little block, little heel on the bottom, like how little girls wear, with long ponytails. And I followed her in there. And they said that, oh, we in here, we just setting up church. They did not know that they was confirming the vision that God gave me. They didn't know it. So I said, Lord, God, you have to help me, because I was scared. Gave all the excuses. I don't have no money. How I'm gonna start this? How I'm gonna do this? How I'm gonna do that? How I'm gonna do this? But let me tell you something. That I shared the vision with the right person, not the wrong people, with the right person, and they say, I got you. I give you this. I give you the microphones. I give you the amp system. I'll pay 6 months for you to have service for your church until you're able to get on your feet. Musicians that complied and said that if you can just give me this, and they really lowballed themselves, because if anybody know our musicians, they the baddest in the land. Baddest. I ain't taking that back. And they was like, because they believed in my vision. Even when I was afraid, and my husband, he was nervous, and he was more nervous than I was, and he was making me scared just by even talking to him. But God said to me, I'll deal with him. You go. God gave me instructions. He gave me times. He gave me everything that I needed, because I had a vision from him. And I protected that vision. I didn't share it with everybody because I knew I had an assignment to be able to fulfill. So I say to you, don't allow people to make you stop doing what God has called you to do, because fear stop them, but fear don't have to stop you. So I'll finish the rest on tomorrow. I'll finish the rest on tomorrow. Um, join me at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. No, I'm gonna change it. 9:30. 9:30. That'll give me time to get to my next appointment at 10 and still be able to teach you well. Join me. Tell somebody part 2 of Quick Word Tuesday. Part 2. And I'm telling you, I have more to give, more to share. I'll be on TikTok, and I also will be on YouTube and Facebook. Join me. I have more to share because I want to make sure that we all win. Have an awesome and wonderful day. You pray for me and I pray for you. I'll run the credits on tomorrow if you join me. God bless you all. Have an awesome and wonderful day.